大家好，我是老王啊。本期试玩内容是《福尔摩斯的遗嘱》就是我们亲爱的福尔摩斯先生这个游戏啊，这是 Switch 上面的。我们开始游戏。这个是经典的，在国外名声大噪的一部侦探小说了。来了。这个小姑娘干什么啊？
What's this? No.
这个小玩这个模型看着好诡异啊，真的很诡异。这个模型制作，一个是华生，一个是我们的福尔摩斯先生啊。他摔了筋斗，这个小破坏儿啊，小屁粉儿，掉了下来。这是他姐姐吗？木偶。
It's a book. Maybe it's a book about pirates.
找到一本书啊。
No, I don't think so. I wish that I had seen through all your lies.
我希望我能看到穿过所有的事情啊。
And so I decided to
因
pick
此
up
我
my
决
pen
定
to relate
拿
the
起
most disturbing
笔写
episode
向我
of my life
人
with
生
fun.
的经历。
It all began early one morning in 1898 when Sherlock
他
Holmes
的秘密
invited
被
me
3
to
个小孩
accompany
发现
him
了啊。
on a visit to the Marquis of Conyngham.
这是我们亲爱的福尔摩斯先生，你看。
Watson, my dear fellow, we can now go and inform the Marquis that we have found the Samoan necklace, and very much faster than Inspector Baines, too, which pleases me.
Have you
还
really
是今年
solved
的
the
场所
theft,
啊，
Holmes?
就是这
And so
个
quickly?
英国老太
I
太
have
这里
indeed, Watson,
租
and
的房子
believe me,
啊
it。was completely unnecessary to spread out all over London, as our friend Baines thought was best. He likes to boast that his methods are equal to mine, but once again the outcome has contradicted him.
After all these years of accompanying you upon your investigations, I thought that by now I should be reasonably capable of following your train of thought. But in this particular case, I must admit that I don't understand
无法理解
anything
你
at
的
all.
想法我们的华生
But
啊，
you're
一脸
not
懵逼的样子
observant,
啊。
Watson. There lies the difference. It is a matter of course.
A matter of course, in the middle of the night, when everyone is fast asleep, the service bell within that room rings out and alerts the servants. They dress quickly and come running, but the door is locked and there is a strong smell of burning from within. A few seconds later, the master of the house himself, the robbed Marchioness's husband, the Marquis of Conyngham, arrives and unlocks the door using the sole key. A fire has started inside the room, but they have managed to arrive in time to put it out. It is at that moment that the Marquis realizes that the famous Samoan necklace, which had been safe within its glass cabinet only a few hours earlier, has now disappeared.
In order to explain, let us confirm my theory before the arrival of Inspector Baines.
现在可以游玩了。他们说了很长的话啊。
This window was cut with a diamond, a clean, discreet piece of work.
他说这个项链没找到了，哎，一个指纹都没有。
This window was cut with a diamond, a clean.
See how tiny.
那检查满一条线索，它显示红色。
This window was.
See how tiny the.
变成绿色。
This window was.
See.
检测完了，变成一条绿色了。
All the windows are locked. They've not been
哎，
forced.
没有被敲开的痕迹，哎。
A mark undoubtedly made
毫无疑问
by a
是
diamond.
钻石
Someone
划
tried
痕
to cut
啊
the！glass, but he was
有人试图
interrupted.
切开玻璃，
Therefore,
但
the
是被
thief
终止了
tried。to escape through the
最后
window,
这个
but he was
试图逃窗
interrupted.
而逃窗者，结果没有。哦，吸烟的地方去，移动到烟囱处啊。这感觉挺别扭的啊。检查备用，哎。钢琴旁边地着散落着乐谱。
Let us examine the crumpled
检查一下
scores
钢
that
琴
have
上
fallen
掉落
off
的
the
乐
piano.
谱，寻找线
Nothing
索。
of interest here. Nothing of interest here. These sooty prints were left by a tiny
一
hand.
只小
I
手
don't
留下了，
understand why these music scores are covered with
沾了一
soot.
些烟灰。这底下怎么做这么多东西啊？
Heading towards his chosen escape route, probably the window,
哎，
the
小
thief
偷打
knocked
算
over
从
the
仓
stool,
库逃跑，
which then caught
慌乱
fire.
中
But
翻了
why
凳子
didn't。he try to put the fire out at once? Footprints. You are not going to get
脚
on your
印
knees
啊
to examine them.
你没
There
有
is
跪
no
下，
need. It is soot. The
这是
servants
烟
must
灰
have trodden in it while they were putting out the fire.
灭火石留下了。哎，
The fire started here, just beneath the bell pull.
Whoever pulled the cord would have had his feet in the fire, unless it was pulled before the fire started. The chest wasn't opened. The
箱子
necklace
没有打
wasn't
开
in
过
it.
啊，项链不在里面。
Strange. There are
哎，
some
奇怪，
objects
这儿
here
的
that
物
have
品都
been
被
knocked
打翻
over.
了。啊，这些这里
These documents are not very
这些
interesting,
文
even
件也
though
没
they're
有什么
addressed
特
to
别
the。Minister of Maritime Affairs.
The Marquis himself.
侯爵本人，
A candle. It must have fallen from the chandelier.
一根蜡烛啊。
Not very well kept, this
这个
aquarium.
鱼缸没有
I
被
can see a
细心
dead
照料，
fish
看见一
floating
条
on the
死鱼浮
surface.
在上面了。
This draft screen makes an ideal hiding place.
啊，藏
As the
身之
theft
处
was
啊，这个
committed
是
at night, I conclude that the thief hid himself behind the
调
draft
查那
screen
个
and
项链
waited
失
until
踪
he
案
was。alone in the room.
When the servants arrived at the door, having been alerted by the bell, they saw evidence of the theft and the fire, but they didn't see the thief.
This door is very hard to force. The Marquis is the only person to have the key. The thief could not get out through here
这个小哥不可能
until
在这儿出去
eventually
的。
when the door was opened by the servants.
What?
Let us search the room before the police get here. We might throw some light onto all this.
还要找。我们已经看了所有。这个地方，这个地方
All the windows are locked. They've not been forced.
也是没有撬开。
All the windows are locked.
这底下
Strange. There aren't any prints.
一个脚印都没有，
I'm sure
十分
that the thief
确定这小偷的隐身之处。
Ah, Mr. Holmes.
哎，警察来了。
You're already here.
Good morning, Inspector. You've arrived just in time.
Scotland Yard arrives like the cavalry, always in the nick of time. Ah, but I know that satisfied expression, Mr. Holmes. Have you already solved the case?
It's possible.
We have retraced the thief's rather unusual footsteps. He is a true acrobat. But what I cannot understand is that when the servants entered the room, there was no one to be seen. An acrobat, perhaps, but an invisible one? I do not think so.
The only explanation is that the thief escaped before the servants arrived. I don't know how, but there is no other way.
Half a point for the doctor, nil for the inspector.
I am pleased to see that you find the situation amusing, Mr. Holmes. Very well then, explain.
Dr. Watson was correct when he mentioned acrobatics, but he is mistaken about the nature of the acrobat. As for you, Baines, you're quite incorrect, as the thief was in the room when the servants entered.
Explain, for heaven's sake, Mr. Holmes.
Watson, how could a thief be missed in the middle of 8 men?
I don't know. Because he is very small? Stop teasing us, Holmes.
Exactly, because he is small. Small and remarkably agile.
You're thinking of a monkey?
And a trained monkey at that. Without a doubt, a Leontopithecus rosalia from Central America.
说是一只猴子偷了那个项链了
Had been hidden inside the room for several hours, calmly awaiting the signal from his master. Once night had fallen and the room was empty, a high-frequency whistle alerted
训练那个猴子来偷那个项链，通过那个先前训练好了，然后让猴子来偷。你看，多么聪明的人类！
He headed across to the window by the chimney, but knocked over the stool, which in turn knocked aside the fire guard and started the fire. The frightened monkey jumped from the chimney by swinging from the bell pull, thus alerting the house servants. He then went to the window and began to use his diamond to cut a hole, but was interrupted by the staff trying to gain entry via the door, and he panicked again. He ran across the piano, scattering the music scores onto the floor, before hiding inside the chandelier, knocking over a candle. Finally, the servants and the Marquis entered the room, leaving the door open while they put out the fire. It was during the confusion that our agile little thief made his escape through the doorway.
这个猴子在趁乱的时候跑了出去了，非常巧妙的解释，真精彩。
I can see it from here, my friends. It's right in front of us.
We have searched the room from top to bottom, Holmes. How were we unable to find it?
Because we paid insufficient attention to the only victim of this affair.
What victim? No one is dead?
Yes, Watson, a poor goldfish whose destiny was to die, crushed by one of the most precious necklaces in England.
The aquarium is just beneath the chandelier. I understand.
项链就在那个鱼竿下面
the necklace around its neck and lost it.
我
when he
送不
left
到
from the
侦
chandelier.
探
The
神探
jewels
福尔摩
fell
斯
into the aquarium where they remain now.
找到那个证物了，就是这个珍珠项链，白色的。
Marquis, here is your necklace, intact, just a little wet.
Mr. Holmes, this brilliant demonstration does credit to your reputation.
Thank you so much, Marquis. Do you wish to verify the authenticity of your jewel?
No, I recognize it. I have spent many hours admiring it, you know.
Good. I will return it to its box and...
Inspector, a bank has just been held up.
这个时候银行又遭抢了，我们要去看银行那边的案子了。这是一个很精彩的推理。
Well done again, Mr. Holmes.
There, the necklace is in its box. We've lost enough time here. Let's go home, Watson.
Ah, very well, as you wish. A good day to you, Marquis.
With pleasure, gentlemen. And once again, thank you.
好，这个案子到这里就结束了，要去那个银行那边了。我们亲爱的华生先生正在喝咖啡啊。
This morning's newspaper. Holmes, have you read this article about you?
No, Watson, not yet, and I won't have time to.
Read it before you leave. It's outrageous.
If you insist.
叫我们去读一下报纸吗？
Read the paper, Holmes.
下了课，福尔摩斯先生在那个康宁满侯爵官邸啊，一次完全失败的调查，刚完成价值连城是项链失踪案调查的著名侦探福尔摩斯，昨日受邀前往那个侯爵庄园发表调查结论。值得一提的是，侯爵夫人是在警察面对这起不寻常的盗窃案有点不知所措，请这位侦探帮忙的啊。1898年9月啊，这个报纸。
Woodville, French culinary expert and bagpipe player, might be our next king. That's not so shocking, my dear.
下任国
You
王
know
啊。
exactly to which article I'm referring, Holmes. How can Farley dare to tarnish your reputation like that?
You know, Watson, that
玷污他的名誉
glory
啊。
walks, jealousy is bound to follow. As for the forgery of the necklace, I suspect that we shall soon be enlightened in this regard. Come in, Inspector Baines. The door's open.
来了，警察又来了。
Ah, Mr. Holmes. How did you know I was here?
You are one of our rare visitors who avoids the second-to-last step of the stairs, which creaks dreadfully. And if I add the clinking of the handcuffs at your belt, to what do we owe the pleasure of your visit, Inspector?
Have you read that rag?
Inspector, can you explain this slander?
解
Has
释一
the
下
necklace
诽
of
谤
the
的文章。
Samoas really been replaced by a fake?
I don't know how the reporter got hold of the information, but it's true. About the necklace, of course. I wouldn't permit myself to question the integrity and honesty of Mr. Holmes.
The necklace is a forgery? Impossible! I saw the Marquis authenticated before my very eyes, before Holmes returned it to its place.
Mr. Holmes, the Marquis believes Osmond Farley's theory. I shouldn't be surprised if the reporter isn't behind all this slander about you. He's a freelancer, well known for his explosive and subjective articles. In any case, the Marquis assures us that you were the last person to have the necklace in your hands.
Let's return to the Marquis's house, Holmes. I'm sure that we'll have no trouble in taking apart this theory.
It is unnecessary. Such allegations collapse on their own, like one of Mrs. Hudson's soufflés. Let us leave the police to solve this problem and turn our attention to the matters in hand.
Perhaps you are right, Holmes.
Inspector, can you explain this slander? Has the necklace of the Samoas really been replaced by a fake?
I don't know how the reporter got hold of the information, but it's true. About the necklace, of course. I wouldn't permit myself...
The necklace...
Mr. Holmes, in any...
Let's...
It is
Perhaps you are right, Holmes.
Inspector, I assume that you have the fake necklace with you. It's why you're here. Your superiors would like me to examine it.
Indeed. They would like you to confirm or deny putting this fake in the box.
Can't that wait? I must go to the house of Lord Peregrine Maitland, the Bishop of Knightsbridge. And the Marchioness?
She is beside herself. Without the necklace, her marriage is compromised. It is the principal item of the young woman's dowry.
What a lovely marriage. Holmes, forgive me for insisting, but don't you want to examine the fake jewelry?
Watson, I have an appointment, and it's out of the question that I arrive late.
It will only take you a couple of minutes. You really must quell the suspicions put forward in this appalling article. If you will allow me, Inspector?
Be my guest.
Very well.
然后我们要去那个夫人那里了。
I cannot leave now.
诶，不能离开吗？
What do you think, Holmes?
What should we do next, Holmes?
哎，我们要去换个衣服，换一身衣服，应该是。 哎，脑壳都搞灰了。哎，接下来我们干什么？哎，挺别扭的。啊，那个项链，哎呀，看了半天这个项链在这里。
What should we do now?
哎，好僵硬，哎。
This pearl is too small. It is not in its place here.
这一颗哦，这一颗太小了。
This pearl is a different color.
哦，颜色也不一样啊。
These 3 pearls are of too many
品质也很
defects.
差
This
啊，瑕
necklace
疵
is
很
a
多，
fake.
How
不
could
是
we have
赝
been
品
fooled
啊。
by such a blatant imitation? I don't understand.
Yes, how is it possible? Holmes, do you have a theory about this?
I have absolutely no idea. You insisted that I examine the necklace, and I have done so. Now it is important that I keep my appointment. I'm sure, Inspector, that you will throw some light on this affair.
Holmes.
You may accompany me, Watson, if you care to do so.
Goodbye, gentlemen. I'll keep you informed as to my inquiries.
Goodbye, Inspector. You mentioned a bishop, didn't you? Are we going to his home?
Yes, the Bishop of Knightsbridge. I put his address on our map of London on my desk. Would you get it for me, please?
All right, Holmes. Holmes's homemade analyzer. I have found your map.
好，我们找到地图了。
Find the address of the Bishop of Knightsbridge on the map, and let's go. Find the address of the
好
Bishop of...
在地图上找，没。
The police? Already? How did you know?
May we see the Bishop of Knightsbridge?
Yes. Yes, of course.
我们来到这个地方了，哎，
Come in.
这个案子特别精彩。
What has happened, Reverend?
What?
I don't know. It was last night, I think. I only just arrived, and I have made this macabre discovery. My God, how horrible. I haven't called anyone. How did you know that?
Holmes, look!
The Bishop, appallingly mutilated.
How dreadful.
Mutilated.
哎，已经死了这个教主，哎呀，
He was such a good man.
我死相还多残忍。
Look at him. He is barely recognizable now. How could any of God's children be responsible for that?
They were evidently unworthy children, Reverend. Now do please try to calm yourself and focus, because we will need your assistance. Do you have any idea as to the motive behind this?
I haven't had time to do an inventory, but nothing appears to have been stolen. And anyway, His Excellency didn't own anything of great value. I don't know what else I can tell you.
Note this down, please, Doctor.
Doctor? But you aren't the police?
No, Reverend. I am Sherlock Holmes, and this is Dr. Watson. We are here at the request of the Bishop.
In that case, I must ask you to leave, and not to touch anything. I must get in touch with the authorities without further delay.
Reverend, when the inspectors of Scotland Yard find themselves at a dead end, which they quite often do, I assure you, then they turn to me for help. If you will allow us to continue our investigation, then you shall have the answers to all of your questions.
Out of the question! I don't even know you! I'm going to call the police, whether you like it or not.
It would be better for everyone, Reverend, if you kept your temper. Watson, are you taking notes? This affair promises to be a complex one. Therefore, we must not overlook the slightest detail.
Yes, Holmes. I am keeping a meticulous set of notes. I have created a very clever deduction board. One thing we can be sure of at the moment is that this crime was not for gain. The Reverend has informed us that nothing valuable was stolen. And indeed, it would seem that the Bishop had nothing of any worth to take.
Very good, Watson. Do continue.
然后我们调查就是骑士教区主教谋杀案。教主没有任何值钱的东西，甚至他的保险箱也没有。这个财富就有点恼火了。哎，我们要跟着推理一下，看一下了，调查一
This
下了。
stove is filled to overflowing.
来，
A broken phial.
破碎的
and
药
blood near
瓶。
the neck.
What a
然后
strange
死相太残忍了。
chemical components, I think.
There is blood on this paper.
A broken bottle of whiskey.
哎，一个
However,
破裂的威
Bishop
士
of
酒
Knightsbridge was
瓶。
known for his sobriety.
哎，滴酒不沾，怎么回事呢？
You can see by his expression.
哎，他的表情死前巨大的痛苦，全是血。
And I can make out strips of skin between his teeth.
His chest has been lacerated.
他的胸部被
I would say,
发
with a
伤了，
very
应该是一把
sharp and
锋利的
fine
刀。
blade. His chest has.
The fingers have been crushed and
手
violently
也变
struck.
形了。
The fingers have been
这也是
crushed and violently struck.
这是多大的仇恨！
A piece of rope that was used to tie up that poor man.
This poor man was tied just
哎，
below
下
the
面
knees.
绑起来了
Stop。him from walking, certainly, but mostly to free his feet. These burns are terrible.
烧，还烧了呢！简直你妈！这里有个手指，我的妈！
A finger, apparently it doesn't belong to the Bishop of Knightsbridge.
这个手指应该是个线索了，哎。
His feet have been burned.
My first impression is that he wears a size 9 shoe.
You! But what does it matter, Holmes? My God, Holmes, this man was horribly tortured.
整个尸体。
Something is missing here.
Oh, yes? And what might that be?
His shoes. Watson, his
鞋
shoes
子
are
不见了
missing.
啊！
His stomach is covered in scratches. Quite evidently, they weren't made recently.
So, these wounds were not made by his murderers. His forearms have been ripped. Pieces of skin have been torn off. What do you think, Watson?
I'd say that he was eaten alive. Yet I've noticed a curious degeneration of the skin tissue around the wounds.
My dear friend, everything points to this man having gnawed at his own forearms.
That's unbelievable, Holmes.
A bottle of whiskey. I can make out fingerprints stained with blood and dirt.
It would seem that the brutes who tortured the bishop to death were intoxicated with alcohol.
好，我们调查就在这里结束啊。